So, hello and welcome to a new episode of Chasing Green Arrows. Today, I have with me Zain Azam from Hyderabad, a very hardcore Liverpool fan. He's looking happy, looking sharp. And then I have Abrar Aziz, the Arsenal fan, not so happy, but still happier than me, who's a United fan. So, guys, how are you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, all good, bro.
And
Top of the table.
so Zain, I'll start off with you. The Premier League in the bag. Or do you think City still have a chance to come back?
City always have a chance with the squad that they have. The thing is, where at this rate, yes, we should be champions, but it's a huge but. If Van Dijk stays fit throughout, which is, he's been fit so far for Liverpool. I don't think he's been injured much, maybe a couple of matches, but we're still just like one or two injuries, before a season collapses. City, meanwhile, yeah, they have their own problems as well. But with the squad that they have, they have a better squad than us for sure.
So it's basically injury is the main concern. If like a Van Dijk or
Definitely.
somebody gets injured, then it'll be a problems for Liverpool. Last year,
Yeah.
how big was the gap? Last year was similar, right? Like 7 or 8 points at Christmas.
Was
Before
it? No, but I think City always had games in hand, if I'm not
oh, they
mistaken.
had games in hand. Okay, so this
Yeah,
year is a
I, I
much
think
bigger.
I think we had like a 6 point lead probably at one point when City I think lost two in a row or something like that. But that was their dip, and then our dip followed soon. It started with United, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. The draw right
So,
at Old Trafford.
yes, yeah.
Uh,
So one or two draws, one or two losses, and they're right back in at City.
and
So
speaking,
it's way too early to talk. Way too early to talk.
this is probably the best start you could imagine, hope for, right?
Exactly.
This especially.
Eight matches, eight victories. Can't get better than
Do
that.
you did you think that they'll give City a tough fight again this season after because last season was really it was draining, right? It's just a 1 point difference. It went till the end. Did you think Liverpool
Yeah,
had it in them to continue this fight again this season?
yeah. To be honest, I'm a little surprised with how City have started. I didn't think they would lose so many points. I thought we would be, not 8 out of 8, but like at least 6 out of 8 probably. But yeah, City have like got their own problems really,
And
and a big lead right now.
at this rate, they can go for the Champions League as well, or do you think he's just going to prioritize the Premier League? Jurgen Klopp.
I No, I think Klopp would definitely go for both.
Go
I
for both.
think us fans don't really care about the league much. Even last season, it was a good bonus, but would have taken the league in a heartbeat, easily, easily.
Yeah, and Abrar, I know you're an Arsenal fan, but your thoughts on the league so far? Do you think it's done and dusted from a neutral point of view?
Like Zain was saying, I think Liverpool is definitely strong favorites right now. But the injury to this Firmino, Fabinho, or Van Dijk could really be. It could be telling as games go by. If any of them has a long-term injury, I see Liverpool really suffering because I think that spine is very important for them. But this is the dream start for them, and City with their defensive issues and really not showing what they've showed us in the past is helping Liverpool for sure.
Yeah, and Zen, I wanted to ask you about the some of the games where they're winning last minute. We saw Milner score a penalty in the 90th minute. These are games where these are the games to win if you want to win a league. Like United did it in the past, City have done it in the past. So does this give you more confidence, or do you think you need to be more clinical?
No, I think this makes me happier than, winning most games 3-0, 4-0, because this is exactly what you need. And to a certain extent, we really had that last season as well, where we were, converting those close matches into victories. So this gives me great pleasure and confidence because that's what all title winning teams have done. So and I know that every now and then we're gonna blow teams apart, but I would love to have more of these scrappy ones as well. That gives us great confidence that we can grind out.
Yeah.
Coming back to the point of that Don made about injuries, yeah, the spine of the team, that's obviously crucial in any team, and I don't think we have top replacements for our spine. It starts, there's Firmino, there's Fabinho, there's Van Dijk, and there's Allison. To be fair, with Allison out injured pretty much throughout so far, we still have 8 victories in 8.
Yeah.
So we've gotten by that. So we know that we have like decent replacement for that, so we can manage without Allison, not for the whole season, but in part. I think to a certain extent, to be honest, even without Firmino, because of the brilliance of Salah and Mane, and Origi just turns up. I don't rate him too highly, but he's just been
Yeah. He did that in the
creating
semi-final,
more
right?
magic.
Against
Everything, yeah.
Barcelona. Against
Semi-final,
Barcelona.
and then I think against Everton as well.
Yeah.
He's just somehow getting by,
Yeah.
doing all these weird things. Uh, Fabinho, yes, that would be a problem for sure because he's so important to the team. But we do have clever players like Henderson and Wijnaldum, and midfield is pretty stacked to be honest because we have Ox who's back. Lalana's been fit for a while finally, and he's been training in the number 6 role. I don't know how effective he would be, but that's going to be his main role this season apparently. It would be interesting. But the replacements are never going to be as good as the starters. Otherwise, they would have been the starters. So.
Yeah, and so basically, if I think the main person will be Van Dijk, right? If he gets injured, then there's going to be cause for concern.
Definitely.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
like you're saying,
Yeah.
there's someone or the other who can try to fill in the
Can
shoes.
kind of step in, but like Van Dijk is like so far above anyone else in the league probably. So you're not going to replace someone like that. Like you can't replace a Messi in Barcelona. You have adequate players, but you can't replace the best player of the team.
Do you guys think he's the signing which has turned Liverpool from a challenging to like a title-winning team, like they won the Champions League last year, and then again they might win the Premier League this year? Is Van Dijk that signing, or is just like
Yeah.
maturity?
I think Van Dijk is that signing.
Yeah.
With signings like Mane, Salah, Firmino, even, and most of our signings they're really really good signings. And but Van Dijk was the one who completely changed the game. Like because we were very good attacking always for the last few years, but ever since Van Dijk came, we've been like probably the best defensive team in Europe. So.
Yeah, because you used to concede on the counter and stuff before he came, and
Yeah,
now
it was too easy. Like even 2-0 up, and we'd be like, oh, okay, this can turn at any second. But now you have that confidence, even when you're 1-0, okay, we've done this before, we can manage this.
yeah.
So the organization skills of that guy is just
And his
incredible.
leadership as well, right?
Yes, 100%.
He makes
So,
Matip look good also. Matip's looking
Yeah.
a very good
to
second
be fair,
defender now.
Matip has been
Has been
incredible
great this season. Yeah,
incredible.
absolutely.
And Gomez looked phenomenal last season, so he's there as well. And Lovren is Lovren, which I mean he did well when he came on the last couple of games. So we're good in terms of players, but losing Van Dijk, there's no replacement for Van Dijk to be honest.
Yeah, and let's look forward to this week's fixtures. Big game, United Liverpool. I don't think it's big anymore, but Don, I'll start with you. What's happening with United, man?
I think you will be a better person to answer this. Your article yesterday stated a few of the big issues that United are facing right now, and I mean, like you said, it's more than just the manager. You've had some big names. You've had some guys who've been decent with the smaller teams like Moyes, who completely flopped at United, and then you had the big names of Van Gaal and Mourinho come in, and they were not able to really turn things around. And now you have a club legend in Ole who kind of started off well, but then once the cracks kind of became larger, he wasn't able to. He doesn't look like he has any answers at this point, and you have good players. I just don't know what's going on in terms of being able to produce the results that Ole, when he came in, was able to do.
But
so,
he had a brilliant start, 10 games in a row. Even I'm sure like all of us were probably saying, oh, like, United is coming back. But then suddenly, like, now we're worse than we were last year under Mourinho. So I don't know what the problem is, but there's something going on. Zen, I'm sure you're happy, but what are your thoughts on this, on United's dip in the last few years?
I think definitely the managers haven't been good. The board is a problem for sure. I think looking at it now, they're probably the biggest problem that they are. I always thought it was probably the managers and it still could be. I mean, they had world-class players who did not perform, like Sanchez, Di Maria, Falcao, Zlatan to a certain extent. These guys are like phenomenal players. And like, look at someone like Sanchez, who was, one of the best players in the league, and he did nothing, like absolutely nothing. and Di Maria left. He's doing well at PSG from what I've heard, what I've seen, and then I don't know. Zlatan is killing it in the US. But yeah, I don't know. I really can't because you can't say yeah, Mourinho was to blame. That's what we initially said when
Yeah,
Solskjaer came.
yeah,
But
including
there was just a
myself.
flare around them, that
Yeah,
kind of adrenaline with the new manager, and then that fizzled out really quickly. And then we started blaming the players, saying that they aren't good enough. But then Ole isn't really a judge of saying, oh, even Ole couldn't get the best out of them. Ole
yeah.
is like, he's just a new kid on the block now. So if someone like Pep, Klopp, one of these proven top managers, to be fair, Mourinho is one of them. But if they wouldn't be able to, manage with these players, then you go, okay, yeah, the players are actually crap.
But the thing is, Pep and Club, there's too few, right? There's only two managers. Like, it's a very fine market. Maybe they can do something, but in general, you should have some other manager who can, because, like you said, you have the players, you have the money. There has to be somebody there who can fix this problem, who doesn't have to be on the Pep or Club level.
Is there anyone you can think of?
I mean, the guy I'm thinking about right now is better than Pep and Klopp. We all know that, don't we?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even Wenger, like I'm not saying that they'll bring him to on that level, but there should be someone in this market who can at least make United a top 4 contender, right? Forget about like winning the
Yeah,
league or anything, but this is shambles. Like you're 12th place, you're like a few points above the relegation zone. So
yeah,
like you said, I'm sure like managers have to be blamed, but also there has to be some issue with the board issue,
yeah,
especially the transfer market. Ed Woodward, we know clearly is not good enough on the football side of things. They need
yeah,
to fix that. They need a technical director, because look at Manchester City. Pep got with him the Barcelona guy who's now the technical director.
yeah.
He needed 2 wing backs a few years ago. He got 2 wing backs and they won the league. Man City. Like I'm just giving an example about how a club should be organized, and United is not like that right now.
Yeah. United basically spiraled like few bad decisions. Moyes was a bad decision. Van Gaal probably was, he was a proven manager.
I have a
Mourinho is a
question.
proven
I have a
manager. They
question
still couldn't
about.
do it.
I have a question about that. You said Moyes was a bad decision. Do you think Moyes was the bad decision, or the way Ferguson left the team was a bad decision?
Uh, See, you can Ferguson. He left a title-winning squad. To be fair,
Or do you think
that
he
team
could
had one.
only he could have win that title with them?
The thing is, different managers produce differently. If you give the same team to same Liverpool team to someone like maybe Mourinho,
Yeah.
he probably wouldn't be as effective as Klopp.
Okay.
If So it depends on the manager as well, right? So the recruitment was probably wrong.
Yeah.
Ferguson, the best thing about him was he knew what he wanted. Like a lot of the players throughout, his squad
Yeah.
wouldn't have been in like the top 11 of a lot of teams, but they always got the results. So Ferguson knew exactly what he wanted. To be fair, Liverpool as well. Like we reached 2 Champions League finals with Henderson, Wijnaldum, these guys in midfield. You wouldn't consider them like elite midfielders
Yeah.
or elite players. These it's like because the team performs so well together, you kind of rate the players higher than they probably are. Like uh, under Rodgers, Firmino wasn't even getting into the team and Salah, Chelsea reject. He was young then, but still. Mane was doing well at Southampton, but these guys are like elite. They seem like elite players now.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree with you. Like it's it's how the manager brings the best out of their players. Because if you give this Liverpool team, like you said, to someone like Mourinho or someone like Ole, I don't think they'll do the same job. So
yeah,
United need to find somebody who can pick the pieces up, but it's gonna take a few years now. I think, because they've tried to go the money way, it's not worked. They've tried to
yeah,
go promote the youngsters, it's not worked. So then first they'll need to clear up the board, appoint a director of football, and then go forward from there.
yeah.
I
I
feel.
think one of the worst decisions that they made was giving Ole that long-term contract.
But
They
how would
they should
you?
have just waited.
But how?
Why not wait till the end of the season?
End
The
of the
team was
season.
performing brilliantly.
I
Why
agree.
why give it right now?
I agree with you, but I think on top, but like at that time there was so much pressure from everything, like all parts of the club and the board, and because everyone was saying that they're so happy right now, 10 wins in a row, especially after that PSG game. I think it was very difficult not to give him the job.
What did they have to lose by waiting till the end of the Ole wouldn't have gone anywhere. Barcelona weren't going to come in for Ole. He would have been there. He was dying for the job. Clearly,
Yeah.
he would have stayed at United. Like they had no pressure.
But do you think
They
that
could
would?
have just waited.
Do you think that really made the difference, or like if they didn't
They
give
could
it
have waited to see like, okay, how is he performing till the end of the season?
and
End
then
of the
kick
season comes, okay, results weren't as good as when they first started off,
and then
but
sack him?
then maybe just not sack him because he was a temporary manager anyway, right?
Yeah.
So just keep him till the end of the season. Just see what the options are, see what they can do, have a proper vision. Like Liverpool was so bad under like people like Roy Hodgson. That's where United are right now.
Yeah, exactly. And how did Klopp transform this this whole thing? Like, how like it took him time. But what did you see first? Like, where you thought this guy is the manager, he's going to take Liverpool forward. What did you see in him when he initially came?
Right. So when we all loved Rogers, like, but it was time to go. Clearly, he wasn't. There was always like conflict with the board, with the infamous transfer committee, all of that. So there was still a segment of people who thought, and yeah, that season was definitely down to the brilliance of Suarez and even Gerrard, Sterling, Coutinho. These guys and Rogers as well, to be fair. But once Suarez left, he replaced him with like people who weren't nearly his level. So once Rogers left, even while Rogers was there, the whole club, there were still segments of the fan base who didn't really believe in Rogers, who believed that that was a one-time fluke, whatever, which it turned out to be. But when Klopp came, that was the first ever time I've seen everyone united at Liverpool. Every single fan wanted Klopp. And as soon as he came, we knew what he was going to do. Results came as well. There was like bad days as well, but there was such a clear vision, and he was very calm about it. He said, this is going to take time. Just wait like 2 or 3 seasons, you'll see what we can do. And he just galvanized everything, Klopp, when he came. And he didn't change everything immediately. He still stuck to what Rogers was doing because that's what it would be foolish to switch midway. But during trainings and stuff, he started implementing his philosophies, the amazing counter pressing, all of that, and then slowly started, and he gave every player a chance. He gave every single player a chance to prove his worth, and some of them did. So now it's definitely completely Klopp's team. This is exactly what he wants, and the best thing about Klopp is he's evolved every season. You would not have thought of Klopp as a very organized, defensively organized, shut up shop sometimes, that kind of manager. That's what he's doing now. When we need to, we'll blow teams away. Look at the match against Barcelona. Throughout the season, we weren't like, blazing through teams. We were very organized and stuff. But when that Barca match came, that was it. Like Klopp knew what we had to do to get a huge victory. And so the players have multiple systems now. That's the best part, that they can adapt to the situation.
Yeah.
The players know exactly what's expected of them. So yeah,
I think that's why they've become more lethal, I think, than even City, because they're adaptable. That's the key word, I think you said. City on their day, they'll blow anyone apart, but like this thing where Klopp's adapting, he's shutting up shop. I think this will make them more difficult to beat in the future in Champions League and Premier League. Yeah, Don,
and what was important to see was the fact that they stuck with him. They had the patience. I mean, the first season was not incredible. I think they finished 7th or 8th in his first full season as a manager, or when he came in as the caretaker. I think that season they finished 7th, and then after that, slowly but surely there was improvement, and then obviously now they're the force to reckon with.
Yeah,
the thing was, every season we showed improvement. Like there were signs of the direction we were going towards.
Absolutely.
Europa League final, then performing better as a team, getting players like Salah, going to the Champions League final, and I think they finished 3rd, right? United finished 2nd that season.
Yeah.
And then winning the Champions League, obviously, and at the same time, like getting one of the highest points tally ever in the Premier League and still finishing 2nd. So challenging on 2 fronts is hard, and we had a pretty thin squad to do that.
Yeah.
We haven't improved on the squad that much. It's still the same squad.
Which is probably the only criticism.
The problem is we can't really get players at Liverpool right now because Klopp knows exactly what he wants, and you can't get like world-class players right now at Liverpool because the team is so set. How do you break into a winning formula?
True.
A Champions League winning squad, back-to-back Champions League finals, competing for the Premier League, losing 1 game. And so it's so difficult to convince. It's easy. You can get players to Liverpool, but Klopp's not like that.
Yeah.
He knows what he wants. He doesn't want to just get players for the sake of it. So it's actually really hard to find players who want who can buy into the vision at Liverpool and understand that they're going to be, sitting on the bench most of the time.
Yeah,
That's an interesting way to look at it. Actually, that's a good point.
We weren't linked with many players throughout
Yeah.
the season. We didn't sign
True.
anyone. We signed some really good youngsters, and that's the perfect approach, I think, because the youngsters are more okay with being on the bench or playing for the reserves, whatever, and then they'll be ready soon.
And Adrian,
So,
of course, big signing for you guys, big game player.
shockingly, yeah.
but when I wanted to ask you when Coutinho was sold, right? That was a huge because Coutinho was Liverpool's best player at that time, if I remember, and I think that was a huge hole. But we never saw that as a weakness. After he left, Liverpool became even better actually. So
It was definitely a blessing in disguise because with Coutinho, as brilliant as he was, his heart wasn't at Liverpool, and Klopp didn't want that. Even before, he was like, you know what, let's sell him because I want players who want to play for this team, who want to die for this team. I
yeah,
don't want players who are thinking about other teams. And the balance, Liverpool became so much more balanced. Right after Coutinho went, we became a lot more difficult to beat. So if you look at the Champions League final that we lost that season with Coutinho, we might not have made the finals. Who knows?
yeah,
But he's that kind of player who could have won us the final as well at the same time.
yeah.
So it's a trade-off. But challenging for the league and stuff, you need a more balanced team, and that's what we got.
Yeah, I think it paid off. And Don, I wanted to ask you a question. Manchester United lost to Newcastle 1-0. They lost to some stupid team in Europe. How the hell did Arsenal not beat them in Old Trafford?
Yeah, that's a whole different story. If I start about that, we probably need another half an hour.
And you could have actually lost that game, right?
I have a big problem with my management system at this point, obviously. So, if we want to go that way, yeah, I think playing three defensive midfielders was a terrible idea. Especially considering we have the likes of Ozil and Ceballos on the wings. I mean, obviously Ozil was not even picked for the matchday squad that day. I think we went to Old Trafford for a draw, and that's what we got, which is
Why
quite
the
sad
hell would you go for a draw? Newcastle is going for a win. Crystal Palace is going for a win.
that is well. If I was managing it, trust me, I'd go for the win. But we are not.
But
it's not
but
me,
what do you
right?
think? Why,
And if Wenger was managing it, he'd go for the win too, obviously. So just putting it out there.
But why do you think Emery is doing that? You feel he's a defensive manager or like?
Yeah, he's a defensive manager. He's probably before the season started decided, okay, he wants to win so many games, draws these. If he gets a draw, a point here, that's fine, because he's a Europa specialist. He's not a top team manager. He is one of those managers that manages teams that are fifth and sixth and makes them win Europa. So Arsenal, when he got them, they were in that position. Of course, they finished fifth a couple of times. They were in the Europa, but that's not the big big team big manager that I was looking for. I mean, I wanted to give him a chance, but 18 months down almost now, I feel like he's probably not the man for the job for sure. And I think Arsenal's problem is a little bit more different from United in terms of we have a good board, we have a good technical director with Edu coming in and we have Raul who's got some good players. It's the management that I'll give him till the end of the season, see how he does. We're not doing too badly, to be honest. We are third, 1 point behind City, who's second. But it's not how I was foreseeing this for sure.
If he gets top four, you'll give him another year, right? I personally.
Even 4 more years if you guys get toppers. Actually, it's difficult to get. It's not easy. Leicester's playing well. Chelsea are there. United aren't there. They should be there. Spurs should be there. They aren't there. But
that's what I'm
saying. Good result
but that's what I'm trying to think. I mean, Chelsea is getting their act together now, so that's another team that we have to look out for. But the difference between the top two and the next, I think 7-8 teams is quite shocking. So the top two is out of question at this point. So we have 2 places to fight for, and we being third is more to look at how badly the other teams are doing versus how good we are doing. That's my problem right now. So with Arsenal being third, it's great that Arsenal are third, but it's because United are terrible. Spurs are kind of surprisingly bad. And Leicester is doing well, yes. So they are probably a good shout for the top four this season. So it'll be interesting to see how the season goes. If Leicester can hold on, the busy period's going to come through in Christmas. It'll be interesting to see if they can hold on, because they have a relatively thin squad as well. So yeah, I mean, if we make top four, I don't know if I want to give him another season, but I probably will give him another season. But he has to start showing some improvement, and playing a defensive form system to United when we go to United when they are so bad is definitely not going to help.
Yeah, and I just
We don't have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. If Arsenal say finish, if I was to say Arsenal are going to finish third the next 4 years, would you take that?
No.
For the next 2 or 3 years?
No, I want us to challenge for the league. Right?
But you took that when Wenger was in charge. They were fourth like
But
for 10 years.
I never took it though. I never took it though.
I never heard you complain.
You lay there and took it.
I've always told that there are some mistakes that Wenger has made, but with the issues that we had, he was always taking care of them.
But you never complained.
There was
You never complained about it. You took it. You didn't say that we need to sack Wenger. You never said that. Wenger is the problem.
Because I thought we never needed to sack Wenger. If Emery went there, played positive football and lost at United, I'd accept it. The fact is, we're playing defensive football. I don't love the Arsenal that plays defensive football.
So you have more problem about the football, not the actual position where you come fourth, fifth. It doesn't matter.
Why am I watching the game? I want to see good football. I have started to love football watching Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, and these kind of players play. So that's the Arsenal that I know and love. And even under Wenger, even under Fabregas, when we were not winning, under Van Persie, when we were not winning anything, we were playing good football. Like, we were challenging. we had some very good moments. This season, there's been absolutely nothing of the sort. We've gone down to Villa. We've looked terrible against Watford, who's fucking 20th right now, which is sad. It's damn annoying to see that. We've been terrible this season in terms of the football we've played. So that is what is my problem, and that's if this happened under Wenger, I would say that Wenger needs to go. But it never happened again under Wenger.
But
it never happened again. You have to agree. You guys know that it would never.
No,
happen
I understand about the football. But the results are still the same. Like, where is it? What's the benefit of keeping Wenger or this guy? What's the difference? Like, it's just you're playing better football. Okay, fine. But what about the results? Don't you want a trophy? Don't you want to win the league?
But we did win the FA Cups 3 out of the past 4 years.
Yeah,
like
I know,
we did. I mean, let's be honest. We were not as good as Liverpool or City, right? We were not, and even now we are not, and I'm okay with that.
But even Van Gaal won the FA Cup. Like, we didn't keep him because of that.
I agree. That's how you looked at it at the time. I'm not saying that you didn't look at it at the time, but I'm just saying, for a period of 7-8 years, or actually it was 10 years since we won when we didn't win anything. But that's when we were blowing off the debts. We have no debt. We had no issues of that sort. And once that was taken care of, we started winning some FA Cups. So he had a big vision in his mind, right? And he came through with that vision. And then the pressure got too much. Obviously, after a point, he felt that, okay, even the FA Cups are not enough. And at the time when he kind of was becoming better, we won some FA Cups. But at that time, City was just too good. So we were not able to win the league, obviously. So, I mean, I'm just saying, now it's time to take it to the next step, right? So if you've got rid of Wenger, you want to go to the next step, which is challenging for the title. And that's not happening under Emery. Yeah. That's my issue.
No, there's some valid points there. I just wanted to round up talking about City. Guardiola's they had a crazy last few seasons. Now they're starting to struggle. Do you guys think, would you blame this on the coaching style, or you just think they're just having a bad season and Liverpool are just too good right now?
They had a bad couple of games. It's been a good start to the season. It's not incredible for sure. Not by their own high standards. But Liverpool, come on, winning 8 out of 8 is incredible. So any other season, City might have been, first, maybe second, trailing by 2 points or something like that. But because of Liverpool's brilliance and how close last season was, it probably seems worse than it is. And they do have a bit of an injury crisis. But I think it's too early to tell. We're 8 games into the season. Within 3 games, everything could be a lot more different.
But if they lose another game before Christmas, let's say, and that lead goes to 11, 12, do you think Pep will just give up and go out for the Champions League full throttle?
I think half the mind is on the Champions League. That's the primary goal for sure. Like, give them a chance. Give them a choice.
Yeah.
League or Champions League. Every City player and fan plus the coaching staff would say, let's get the Champions League. We've won the league plenty of times.
Because
Same thing.
Arteta,
You tell Liverpool the same thing. They're gonna pick the league. Anyway.
Yeah.
Arteta also was offered the Newcastle job, I heard, and he put it down because turned it down because he said he wants to help Pep win the Champions League. So that's a clear indication of what they're looking for at this point in the season, at least.
Now, one thing with them though is that they do have the squad, so even if they wanna go for both, they still can do it. It's just about. I think Pep's only issue in the Champions League sometimes he's just really unlucky sometimes, or he has a few tactical errors. Like he doesn't adjust as much as Klopp does. Like Klopp did adjust last year in the Champions League. So I think if City adjust a bit, and in the Premier League they can still come back because they have that squad. If right now they have a lot of players missing, but if they have De Bruyne fit, the Sterling fit, they have Aguero fit, everybody fit, then I think they'll maintain that pressure on Liverpool. They'll take them to the end. Even if they don't win the league, they'll take it close.
Yeah. Also, I think City, if you look at Champions League for them, they have been kind of unlucky.
Yeah, 100%.
Last season with the VAR goal and stuff, and the season before that, I think they were on course to win the Champions League. No team but Liverpool could have. Even though Liverpool weren't as good as they are now, but the way they played, it was perfect for City. They were the only team that could like absolutely destroy City, and they did.
Yeah, but don't you think in those games, the Champions League games which they did lose, they come out too aggressive? Like they need to be a bit more defensive, especially when you're playing away from home. Because against Liverpool, you saw that when Liverpool scored one goal, instead of sitting back a bit and letting the atmosphere soak in, Pep told his boys go straight for it, and then they got hit for another 2 goals on the counter attack. Same thing happened with Spurs. Like even though they were at home this time with the Etihad, but they were going too many. They were going forward a lot, and they weren't. They were leaking goals at the back. So, do you think that's something they need to work on, especially in a big European game?
Probably, it's a good talking point because, if they were more conservative. But the thing is, that's the only way Pep plays.
Yeah.
And that's probably what you're saying is he might need another way of playing, like this.
Something like Klopp
tweak
has
the
done.
tactics a little bit.
Maybe not the same, but something like Klopp has done, because he's also somebody who likes to attack, but then he adjusted right when he needs to.
Yeah. For example, if you look at the final, Liverpool versus Spurs, Liverpool scored very early on, but they didn't really adjust. They were just like they were not composed. Klopp was banging his head, thinking, "What the hell are these guys?" Even the players were like, "Oh my God, we are in so much pressure."
Yeah.
But then they just managed to win the game somehow. For City, ideally Klopp would have liked to play some good football, try to get another 1 or 2 goals in.
Yeah.
But it really didn't work out. The pressure got to them, but they got the victory. That's good.
Yeah.
I don't think Pep has any other way of playing, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad. It got him incredible. It gets him success throughout in the league for sure. In the Champions League, it did with Barcelona.
Yeah.
But you might have a point that he needs to. That it's not working. It hasn't worked with Bayern or City, so maybe it's something. Because cup competitions are different for sure.
It could just be a minor change. It could just be like 10 minutes of an away game where you just relax a bit, step back a bit, and then go. It could be a minor change like that, but it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Because this year he'll be very desperate to win. I think, especially after what's happened in the last few years, he'll be very desperate to win this year.
How would you rate City start this season?
Don, go for it.
In any other season, like except for last year and this year, I think any other season it's a pretty decent start, right? They still have 16 points from 8 games, if I'm not wrong. I think that's 5 wins and a draw and 2 losses.
But who did they lose to? That's the thing, right? Like they didn't lose to somebody like Liverpool or thing. They lost to Norwich. Wolves. I give it to them. They're a good team, but that Norwich
was
game,
very surprising.
they shouldn't have
Norwich
lost that
was just
game.
very surprising.
Like
I think it's still not a terrible start, but just because Liverpool has won 8 out of 8, it's looking bad. But I think it's still not a terrible start. It's an okay start. It's not great, but it's not bad also. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
So you think it's a pretty good start, basically?
It's a decent start. Yeah, it's a decent start.
Arsenal are 1 point behind them. Why is that a crisis?
Because right after that, it's terrible after that. That's what I'm saying. It's after City, because I know City is going to is not going to lose too many more games, but I can't say the same for Arsenal. That's my problem.
No, but how do you
That's-
assume that? Because look at the way they've started City this year. They've lost a couple of games which they shouldn't have lost.
Right. And that's why they've learned their lesson. And I think it's done. And against Wolves, I think Wolves were just very good on their day. Against Norwich, it was a bad loss, and they've kind of come out of that. I think I don't think City is going to lose any more bad games. I can't say the same thing for Arsenal, because after that Watford performance, we were at home to Aston Villa, and we had that similar trouble again. We got lucky because Aubameyang played well and all of that. And to be fair, Aubameyang has played well all season. He's been banging in the goals. But I still think there are a few bad performances left in Arsenal, which is sad. That's the difference right now. And yes, that's what I'm saying. Still third, still not too bad. That's why I'm not going to sack him right away or for by any stretch of imagination. I will give him till the end of the season. I want to see how well he does. If he improves, I'm going to give him more time for sure. I'm not one of those who wants the sack right away, or anything till the end of the season. If the kind of football is still similar and we are still struggling to bottom half teams, then there's a problem, obviously.
Okay. Man City losing twice already is good for Liverpool, because not just in terms of points, because other teams are going to be like, hang on, I think these guys are. Last season, everyone just bent over backwards for City. Like, there was no belief that they will come out with the result. But now teams are going to start thinking, okay, you know what, we might be able to win this.
That's definitely a thing, but from what we know of Pep, he's already making sure this never happens again. Is Emery making sure? I don't think so. That's my problem.
That's interesting. But final thoughts, your predictions for the big game this weekend, Liverpool United. Zen, I'll go with you first.
If United come out thinking they can win, then it's going to be like a 5-0 or 6-0 to Liverpool. But
yeah, I like that.
Really smart part. If they really go Mourinho on Liverpool, then they actually might be able to get like a 1-1 draw or something, which might have further implications for Liverpool throughout the season. But I would go for about a 4-0 win.
For a Salah hat trick, huh?
Brace.
Yeah.
Before I go, I want to hear your thoughts, Musti.
I think 2-1 United. They'll come. Liverpool come out attacking. They score the first goal. Then United will score on the stroke of halftime, and then like 80th minute, 90th minute winner, Fergie time. I'm asking for a lot, but there's nothing else I can say. I can't. My heart. All I'll say is my heart says in United win. My brain says they'll lose like 10-0. But it'll be interesting. I don't see. The only interesting thing is that if they lose and the way they lose, will that impact Ole's tenure as manager? Because I don't know, like if how patient.
That's what happened to Mourinho.
Yeah, because that's what happened. They lost to Liverpool and he was sacked after a few weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how long this guy stays. Of course, if they do get a point or 3 points, then he'll extend that period. But I think if they lose, especially if they lose bad, it's going to be a problem for Ole.
Yeah. 3-1 to Liverpool.
3-1 for Liverpool. All right. So that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Next week we'll discuss again. We'll talk about these games, what happened, and we look forward to the future fixtures. Thank you so much, and take care. Peace.
Right.